So let's just start with some quick introductions. Micah, do you want to go first? Where you are? I've already said it, but you know, the other three, we're all, there's nobody from Britain or Ireland. So,
I'm Micah. I live close to Berlin in the countryside. Can't hear me?
Is it? Have I switched my speaker
off? Hello.
Right, so somehow I've switched off.
We can hear you. We can hear you.
My system. Because do I hear a ringtone? No, I don't. Now do I hear a ringtone? No. Do I hear a ringtone? No. Do I hear? No. It's switched on. It was working fine a minute ago. Can I hear it? No, I can't. It says my device is. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
We can hear you fine.
I can't hear you. Which is a fat lot of use. So now, can I hear you now?
Can you hear it?
Hello.
Yeah, I can hear you. So I've had to switch on to the, I don't know what's going on there. So I've had to switch off my USB system. Speakers. Maybe that's the problem. Let's try again. Hello.
Hello.
Nope, it's not working. Okay, go back to the other one. I can hear you again.
Yeah.
Okay. So
I'm Micah, living close to Berlin, and I'm following Penelope's online work since March 2020, and I'm happy to be here again.
thank you. Alison.
Yes, I'm Alison. I'm living in Tennessee, originally from England, but many years ago. Yeah, that's me.
Yeah, and you've done the advanced TTO, yes. Sarah?
So I'm Sarah, and I'm in Mexico, in the state of Veracruz, and I was with Alison in the ATTO also, and Kazuyuki.
Kazuyuki.
I'm Kazuyuki. I finished advanced TTO, and I'm looking forward to this event.
Thank you. And it's some ridiculous hour for you, isn't it? Is it? What time is it where you are at the moment? 11 in the morning?
12:30 a.m. I live in Japan, in Kyoto. So,
Hannes.
Yes, my name is Hannes, and I'm living in Berlin, in the middle of the city. And I did an advanced course, and I went in some other courses, and I did the first course of fitness with Penelope, and it was good. And I'm curious about what's coming next.
Very good. Yes, and Micah did the course before as well. Yes. So I'm going to take a slightly different tack so that we don't just repeat what we did last time. And I thought I'd do some fitness flows based around each chapter of the book to start with, just as a sort of go back to basics, explore. So today we're going to explore the difference between freeing the joints and leading with the eyes, which is chapter 3, and then into chapter 4, and do a sort of quick summary of all the exercises of that, but in a flow form, and see where it takes us. and see what you notice, and see what you discover. I hope it'll be fun. So if everybody would like to stand up. And let's stand so that we can see at least down to the knees. Benefit if we can see to the feet, but at least if we can see to the knees, that would be good. Okay. Alison, I've lost your head. Come forwards a bit or tip your computer down a bit, or up a bit, whichever way around. That's going to be better. Yes, that's excellent. Good. And you're too far back. You can come further forwards. Going, keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going, keep stop. That's fine. Okay. So let's just start by putting the feet and hips width apart. And have you all heard this way of finding hips width, which is to put the span of your hands across your groins, and where your fingertip and thumb tip land is roughly where your hip joints actually are. So you can move your legs just to confirm that. That's actually where the joint is apparently. So that's where you want your heels, is under those points. Forget who gave me that tip, but I think it's quite a nice one. So let's then free the knees, and let's just my knees a bit more. Let's just wobble them to start with. Let's just check them back, push them back, and then release them ever so slightly forwards. So often when one does this with pupils, they push them back and then they take them to bend. And see if you can release them just forwards. And then try tightening the muscle up and grip it and let it go down again. And then release the knee forwards and let it lengthen back up. On the other one, just let it go forwards and lengthen it from the heel back up. And then let's do all those again, tighten them right back. And just release them a little bit forwards. Clench them up. And just let it come down again. Release it, one knee down. Let it lengthen back up again from the heel so that the ground comes up to meet the knee. And then the same with the other one, let the ground come up to meet the knee. And then just check that those knees are free and yet balanced, stable, and yet potentially able to move. And then let's play with ankles in a different way. So you can see my feet as well. So we're going to just step back. And you'll notice, so if you step back onto one foot and bend the back leg, keeping the front leg straight, you'll find that that front leg is extended and the ankle extends and the foot lengthens away. And then if you just come back onto it without thinking too much, you'll probably come into the front of your foot and your hip will push forward. So just notice that and then come back again. You can really sit down into that back hip and then come up again. But this time think about your heel. As you come up, just think about sort of letting the weight flow into the heel. And you then come up in a much more balanced way over the hip. Let's do it again. So again, sink back. Let yourself sit down onto the back hip. As you keep leaning back, just sit down onto the hip. That's it. Yeah, that's it. And then again, come forwards again. So you stay with the heel and you just lengthen up. And yeah, you're much more over the hip now, as I can see. Try the other leg. Then just step back and just do the experiment first of just coming forward without thinking. And notice if you come a bit too far forwards and the toes start to have to get involved and you're more on the ball of the foot, the hips push forwards and again step back. And let yourself sit down, sit back into the hips, and then let yourself come up from the heel. The heel of the front foot is gently the weight is releasing into it, and the front of the leg and the front of the ankle can stay released. Step back again, and again come up again. Coming up slowly into the heel comes up to meet the rest of the leg, and the weight is taken under you. The leg may feel a bit more unstable at that point, and just being aware that it might feel very different from our old gripped place, and then see if you can bring the other foot up to join it, and being aware that perhaps your hips are further back than they usually are over your ankles, but without sticking the bum out. And then just take a little walk around from there and notice whether your legs release a bit more easily, whether the grounding is different, whether your torso is differently balanced on your legs. Just see what you notice. Okay. Anyone want to say anything so far on just that little one? On those so far? Alison.
I don't notice my hips so much as my ankles much different.
Yes, so the ankle is nice. Okay, so let's come to the head balance, and just finding your fingers under the ears and the second finger just behind the center of gravity. So that's finger under the hollow under the ear, the second one just behind the cheekbone, which is where the center of gravity is. That's the center of gravity of the head, according to Ted Diamond. And then, of course, if we think about our raindrop rolling, then what's happening is that the pivot point is the atlanto-occipital, and the head is rotating around the center of gravity, which then sort of comes up and round and down to the nose. If we think about the top of the nose having this little raindrop rolling down it, we're being aware of that pivot point, the center of gravity, rotating around the center of gravity. And then you might just find that magic forwards and up of the head. So just play around with that a moment, just letting the eyes come up to bring the head back up again, and again find that raindrop rolling. And see if you can notice it lengthening the back of the neck as the head is taken forwards and up. And let's add the freeing of the jaw, just thinking I let my lower back teeth drop down from my upper back teeth, and my upper back teeth lift up and off my lower back teeth. I let my lower back teeth drop down from my upper back teeth, and my upper back teeth lift up and off my lower back teeth. I let my lower back teeth drop down from my upper back teeth, and my upper back teeth lift up and off my lower back teeth, and then come back to what we were just doing, that rolling of the raindrop down the bridge of the nose. That sense that there's a forwards and up from the atlanto-occipital, rotating around the center of gravity point. And then take that into the axis turn, and back again. Noticing that the axis is below the atlas joint. Continuing to let the jaw be free, and then come back to the first one, the nodding of the raindrop. Let's go between the two for a moment. Always that head coming forwards and up to the center of gravity around this, so it's this circle that comes around and into the nose. And then let's have a go at the tilting head. So in the tilting head, your eyes might be following a raindrop like that, which brings the right ear, the left ear up, and the right ear down, and then let the eyes follow a raindrop, a rainbow, the other way, which brings the right ear up and the left ear down. So you're not letting the head tilt back or tilt forwards. It's not doing that. It's not pulling back on the neck. It's keeping absolutely level forwards and back in the frontal plane, but it's moving in. I'm never sure of my planes. Does anyone know their planes? Anyway, whichever plane it is, that's the one we're moving in.
Where do you imagine the rainbow? Is it far on the horizon?
The rainbow is just opposite on your wall, opposite. It's not an enormous rainbow, otherwise you'd have to go up.
Yes. And it's like the arc of my eyes, isn't it the same?
Yes, it is.
Same height. Yeah.
It's not a horizontal arc, it just goes up and down a bit. That's it. So it just, because the eyes do sort of come up and down a little bit with this, you're letting the eyes track it. So many people do this move because they've got a stiff neck. They do it in a rather forcing way, or they pull it with their hand, or push it. And just to let the eyes lead the movement. Really extending the side of the neck. The trapezius and the sternocleidomastoid and the scalenes and goodness knows what else. And then see if from that you can release into a head nod that way, which is a very Indian move. Maybe they don't know if they do it in Japan, but in India it means neti neti. Which is neither nor, because there's yes and there's no, and then there's neti neti. So can we actually let our heads release into shakes? There's no, and there's yes. And the shake, of course, is it's like the dog scratching. You get into the central pattern generator. This isn't in chapter 3. That you can just release it into movement. And the interesting thing about this one, the neti neti, is I think you can only do it when the head is balanced on the body, because the others you can be out of shape and you can still nod and shake, but you can't do this one. You can only do it when you're upright and the head is balanced. So it's a bit of a tester. Is my head balanced? That's it. So now let's take your head for a little walk, following the eyes. Just let it take the eyes in, take the head in a little wander. You're leading with the eyes. You can do figures of 8. You can do curves and spirals and whatever you want with your eyes. But be aware as you're doing it that atlanto-occipital is the pivot point. We're not moving that forwards and back. That is staying still. And there is still always that forwards of the center of gravity up from the atlanto-occipital. But there's still that nodding forwards of the head, in a sense, even when the head is tipped up in the sky, which of course is impossible, but nonetheless there's a sense of that. Just taking the head for a travel, not necessarily the body, just the head, taking it for a journey on its own, following the eyes, but particularly being aware of this head neck relationship between the center of gravity point and the occiput and the atlanto-occipital. So I'm going to step back again. And if I were to collapse on one hip, I've lost me up. So now I'm just going to think up, and I will come up again. And then let yourself collapse on the other side. You'll notice the spine's probably gone into an S bend. And again, just think that crown to the ceiling. Heels down, crown to the ceiling. And the body will come up again. Now can you leave the crown upright but drop the hip? And come up again. And leave the other side and drop the hip. And just play with that on both sides. So we're letting the hip drop down, but keeping the balance of the body up. And then letting the heel lengthen down and the crown lengthen up to bring us out. And now let's make it a bit more of a knee punch. Speed it up if you can. And anyone who can take it into a shimmy. Nice. So it looks like a bum wobble, but actually it's coming from the legs. So again, we've released into the shake. Keep breathing. You might want to take your arms up when you do it. So it's keeping the shake going for as long as you can. The shakes are curious. One finds them and loses them, and finds them and loses them sometimes. There we go. And let's bring that to quiet and be aware of the same in the hand. We can just shake the hand, and then we can really shake it, let it go into, because pupils often will do something like that. They'll do a deliberate movement instead of actually letting it go into a shake. We'll find the other hand as well. And then we can find the lower arm, horizontal shake, and then let it become the whole arm. And on the other side, the lower arm, horizontal shake, and then let it become the whole arm. Both together, and add the netty netty. Hopefully don't go dizzy. And add the belly dancing as well, but that's probably too much. everything shaking. Because that's the other one, of course, is the shoulder shake, which we'll come to in more detail in a few more sessions. So this is real joint freeing stuff. Hello, Hannes, we lost you.
Yeah.
So let's just think up the legs, up the feet. Just lifting one foot and lowering it down now, thinking up the heel, lower calf, middle calf, upper calf, knee, lower thigh, middle thigh, upper thigh, bum, cheek, sacrum. And then the other one, lifting the heel and lowering it slowly, thinking up the heel, lower calf, middle calf, upper calf, knee, lower thigh, middle thigh, upper thigh, bum, cheek, sacrum. And the same again, just finding that up. And up. And then let's take that into, we can just do a turn of the head to the side without anything else moving. And we can take a hand out to the side without anything else moving. But then if we do those movements and at the same time we release the knee, so if we let the head turn at the same time we release the knee, we can actually, the whole body then goes into a spiral. Eyes right and spiral right, eyes left and spiral left. Nothing needs forcing. The releasing of the knee, and using the arm as well. The releasing of the knee, just Releases the breath right through into the legs. Releases the spiraling movement right through into the legs. So you can now take that into a turn, rather balletic, sort of dancey turn. That's it. And then the other way. Just a turning on the spot, following the arm, following the knees. And again, just turn to the right. And turn to the left. You okay there, Hannes? Yeah. And then we could explore the same thing in just let my raindrop roll, and that will take me into a swinging bounce. Led by, so you don't have to drop the whole head forward, which is what a lot of people do. You just have to let the raindrop roll gently. And the whole body will follow. As long as you let the knees soften, the body will follow into a lovely squat swing. And now let's do these sideways. So if you bring one arm up and do that little tilt of the head that we were doing earlier, then we get a nice bend to the side. And then you can come in and go the other side. Just play with that for a moment with one arm. So the balance of the head leads the body. And the other arm. The rainbow of the head leads the body. First arm again, and what happens this time if you release the knees? And you can go outwards, or you can go inwards. And does it even take the body into a bit more of a spiral? Try with the other arm. We're not just letting the head go, but we're letting it release forwards on the atlanto-occipital, because it's, if you just try for a moment letting your whole head go, which is what a lot of people do, to let it actually go heavy from the base of the neck. It's rather a different move, isn't it, than if you release it from the atlanto-occipital. Not let the neck go floppy. So we're using body weight, but we're using it in a more controlled way, I think. So just have a play for a minute of the different planes of that and see where it wants to take you. Being aware of this combination between the nod of the head and the releasing of the knees will take you into all sorts of different planes. And you can play with it and just take it where you want to for a moment. So let's come back now to where we started, but we're now going to That was sort of chapter 3, as it were, freeing the joints, finding that balance of the head on the neck, and finding that integration of the body that is just free, that goes into spirals very easily, and folds and spirals. Now let's play with it with chapter 4, which starts with the nose feather. So if you just find your nose feather, so we're thinking now about spatial awareness in a way we weren't a moment ago. I mean, you might have been, but I wasn't instructing it. And just being aware of that nose feather coming right through to the back of the head. So now as the feather swings around the room, you're aware of the space between you and what you're seeing. And that might also bring you into a more of awareness of your own body, of the balance of the head itself, of the volume of the head itself. Finding the atlanto-occipital if you need to check that that isn't going anywhere. And then come to the, just checking that it's rotating around your central axis. It's not going forwards and back, but it's very much the eyes leading the movement. We're not just organizing it from the neck. The eyes and the spatial awareness and the sense of peripheral vision and space behind us, space above us, space below us is also part of it. And then come to the line where you're tracking a line out to the horizon and back. And as you track away from yourself, your eyes will take the head upwards somewhat. And let it come down again, but again, don't let yourself go with the line, as it were. There's a spatial relationship between you and what you're seeing, so that you're one end of the line and the point of visual awareness is the other end, with everything else present. And the same can happen with the tilt, with the head still being aware of that, the back of the head being the other end of the nose feather, which is now stroking your rainbow. And being aware, as you're doing this now, back to the line perhaps, of your mind being in the brain, but of the whole body being underneath you. So let's come back to the twist, to the axis joint. So the eyes go right. There's what you're seeing, and the center of gravity. The back of the head is where you're seeing from, and so there's a sense of the body beginning to twist, and let the information come up to you, and let the back shoulder begin to follow as well. If the front shoulder leads, we tend to sort of pull round, whereas if the back shoulder, the following shoulder, has a sense of leading, if that makes sense, then that will start to bring the upper body round, and then you can let the back hip join in, and then the back knee, and then the back ankle. And the messages are coming up to you. And don't just untwist, but let the eyes lead first out of the twist, leaving the rest of the body in the twist. And then let the shoulders untwist. but leave the hips twisted. And then let the hips untwist, but let the ankles stay twisted. And then finally, let the ankles untwist as well. And going the other way, just let the eyes lead with that spatial awareness. So you get an embodied sense of the neck, and then of the upper body, and then of the lower body, and then of the upper thighs and the lower thighs, the lower legs, and then the ankles and the feet. And then bring it back bit by bit. The eyes come back. We get that sense of the neck. And then the upper body untwists, and then the lower body untwists, and then the knees and the ankles and the feet untwist. Around once more, just letting the eyes lead. With that sense of the body being underneath you, the neck being underneath you, the upper body being underneath you as it twists, the lower body being underneath you, the knees, the thighs and the knees, and finally the lower legs and the ankles. And coming back, the eyes, bringing around the head and the neck, but nothing else follows to start with. And then the upper body follows. And then the lower body follows, and we're aware of these embodied spaces joining in. One more time. So we're not going down there, we're letting the messages come up to us, but nonetheless being aware of the embodiment of it. As each part of the body is drawn into play in turn. Now let's let our line lead down into monkey. So we've got our line leading down. The head, of course, doesn't drop forwards on the neck. It rotates around the occipital, but the neck itself stays long so that the next point to bend are the knees and the hips and the knees. Take us down into monkey. And then up again. Back of the head leading up. The eyes tracking. And you can go as low as you like. You can stay in monkey, or you can go down into a low monkey or into a squat. Just letting it fold and unfold. With the eyes and the knees between them. Bring us into movement, but the eyes somehow.
Penelope, could we see your knees as you're doing that?
Oh, certainly, sorry. Yeah. Okay. And the back of the head leads up. The eyes just untrack, as it were, track the arc in the other direction. Eyes lead, rotating that head, rotating around the occipital and the center of gravity, just to bring everything into play. And the same on the way up. Then the head rotating around the center of gravity, actually itself brings the back up. Getting that precision of the head rocking forwards on the atlanto-occipital brings the back and up into play. And now playing with the monkey and the twists together. So again, letting that precise coming forwards of the eyes from the back of the head, from this embodied sense, taking us into the monkey. And then the eyes just go to one side. And then the other side, and I could go deeper if I want. And just the head to start with. And then the back of the head leading us up again. And then going again, the eyes leading that precision, the balance of the head on the neck into monkey. And the eyes lead the movement round to the side. And this time the shoulder twists, but the hips stay level. And then one can go the other way. The eyes lead us back to level, and then the eyes can go left, and the shoulders can spiral as well. So the torso spirals, but the hips don't. And then coming up again. And the third time, eyes lead the body into the monkey. Deep as you want to go. The eyes lead, the twist, the shoulders follow, and this time the hips follow as well, and maybe even the ankles as well. So we could perhaps even look right down to the ceiling. And then coming back again, the eyes leading back, noticing the shoulders, the hips, the legs, all rebalancing again, doing it bit by bit. You isolate each bit of these twists in turn. And the eyes twist, then the shoulders, then the hips, finally the legs and the ankles, and then unturning the head, the shoulders, the hips, the ankles. And just let yourself now go on a little explore where your head wants to take you into these bends, and just let yourself have a play at this point. And you can use your hands, you can move your legs, and just play with how the body opens out in the twist and closes down again. And just see where it takes you. Exploring the spirals, led by the eyes, led by the balance of the head. And let's just come together for a moment and have a quick discussion about what you notice between the first way we went into a play at the end of the first sequence and how it compares with how it is in this movement play. Because in both we've got movement spirals, but they're different. What's different?
One thing that I had never thought of making clear to students was the difference when doing something coming forward, not to drop to the base of the neck. It's a little tricky because there's a lot of movements that emphasize that kind of rolling down, right? Would you, in general, avoid?
No, I think in a forward bend, you do drop the neck. Yeah.
Okay.
When you do a yoga bend, you drop the neck. But do you always want to drop the neck?
Right.
What happened when you didn't drop the neck?
Yes, it was a really nice sensation of lengthening.
Yeah.
And I guess the important thing is to be able to distinguish and, what I want to do and then make a choice and not just have it happen for you.
Yeah. Right. Micah.
Actually, exactly with this issue of rolling down and rolling down by rolling down from the base of the neck or rolling down from the atlanto-occipital, I made some really nice discovery the last year that the trapezius, when it doesn't get involved in rolling down, then the head can release much more easily when being in the forward bend, which is just wonderful. I always had problems to really release the neck and the head when I was in a forward bend. And now it's happening. It's happening because it's kind of organizing the trapezius not to get involved too soon or to restrict or prevent the neck from really releasing. It's, yeah, what you said, it's giving a lengthening, and then it makes it very clear.
So is it that you are, what I was thinking as we were talking there, sometimes one does want to release that, but does one want to do that movement first? I think one always wants to start with that one. And that is probably what then organizes your trapezius, I guess, so that you can then go into letting the rest of the neck. You haven't just gone straight for C7, you've actually got all the neck involved.
Yes.
Yeah. And that organizes it. Yeah.
If I get down from here first, then I just cannot really release it when I'm down. It's kind of, something is restricting it when I'm down. So now it's possible.
Great.
After this time.
Lovely. Anyone notice that the first movements we did, where we were just sort of flinging body weight around, is what we might call release, and they're lovely sort of free-form movements. But this time, when we were leading with the eyes, it was much more toned, much more controlled. And there's a place for both, I guess. But I think in dance, we tend to jump straight, modern dance, we tend to jump straight to the former rather than keeping that more integrated tone. So that was just something I noticed. Anyone else want to comment on what we've done so far?
I had two discoveries or nice sort of refinements. One was really coming up out of monkey, rolling the raindrop. I mean, I thought of the back of the head, but I realized then, I can really lengthen into coming up in a way that I hadn't done before, which was really fun.
Yes.
The other thing that was interesting was that as we did the spirals, I really wanted to unspiral from the bottom up rather from the top down. So that was an interesting thing to play with, to really let my eyes lead the spiral coming down, to unwind the spiral.
It's really counterintuitive, that one, and I'm not sure it's something that happens in nature, but it's fun because you really get to isolate the different sections. Yeah. It took a while. It can take a while to master that one. Any other questions? What other questions you have there, Alice?
So I realized the spiral movement and spiral coordination. So when I say now my shoulder, so this is so much more unfamiliar than all the plane movements. And so I recognized I should be aware of that and look for it also. I mean, there must be daily life movements a lot with spirals.
Okay, let's name them.
Looking back,
Looking back, yes, but
And traffic.
parking the car, traffic, yes.
Yeah.
So, yeah, but there's one that actually we all do every day. on, on the toilet, reaching round for your bum,
Mm.
reaching for the loo paper.
Mm.
The toilet tends to involve a lot of spirals.
Mhm.
And it's something I've played with in groups before now, and I said it to an osteopath, and he said, actually, you wouldn't believe how many people come in here because they've been to the loo, done a spiral and got stuck.
Okay.
It's because it's not something we do consciously.
Mhm.
So, you know, when you're next on the bog, where do you keep the loo paper? I mean, if you keep it in front of you, you're okay, but if you keep it to the side, and quite often it's slightly behind us and we have to stretch.
Mm.
You have to stretch around to wipe your bum. So it's, maybe notice what spirals you do on the loo, because it's actually they're quite tight spirals, as it were.
Mm.
Where else do we spiral? John, has you-
Following your instruction, I find not only my spine, but also two axes, right axis and left axis. So right side and the left side collaborate
Yes.
to rotate. Yeah, that's very fun. Thank you so much.
Yes, and they're equal. They rotate. It's amazing how
Yeah,
our head actually while doing that, isn't it?
yeah.
Lot of mechanisms. Just try that. Just swing your shoulders backwards and forwards and keep your eyes forwards. Keep your eyes
And
forward.
from top to shoulder and ribs and pelvic floor and knees and ankle. Yeah, that's very integrated.
It's nice, isn't it? Yes.
Ah,
It's one of the Olympic swimming teams that they all came in walking like that. Which looked
wow.
looked dramatic. It's quite well, but it's quite fun to do that from time to time.
Yeah.
But the stabilizing, you know, but there's whole sorts of mechanisms to actually stabilize the head when we do that, so that we can actually, you know, because if we were chasing a rabbit to eat it, we don't want the head to be swinging. Nice. So these are mechanisms to be able to stabilize where we're going and who we're trying to catch, and yeah, whatever. It's amazing, and they must have come from the fish, which after all, whose tail is doing that. And if the head was doing that as well, they'd never get through the water. So you know, there's amazing writing mechanisms through the spine that come out at this point. Yeah. Okay, let's play with any other questions. Let's play with
one question with the spirals and standing. I join in with my shoulder, I join in with my hip, and then with my knee. And then I got on the side where I'm turning to, on my foot, very much on the outside of my foot.
Hello, outside of foot.
Huh? That?
Hello, outside of foot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Notice it. Yeah.
Yeah.
You can't at that point stay on the inside of the foot.
Yeah.
I mean, even if you just try it on the chair, just take your knees across to the right.
Yeah.
The left foot will come onto the ball and the right foot will come onto the little toe and then come back again away. And just you keep your torso stable and swing your legs backwards and forwards. You've got a swivel chair, it's nice, but even if you haven't got a swivel chair. Okay, let's play with it in semi-supine. Because if you've all got your yoga mat or something. So to start with, I want you just to do the releasing into semi-supine and then into movement. But sorry, you lost my head. But so just releasing the head into movement and let yourself come down and let your hips come down either side. Just sort of be aware of coming down either side. So we're just releasing down. Bounce the hips a bit and then wait for everybody to get settled. Not everybody is down there yet. So you're just, as I say, you're just releasing the body into a bend. And I say, having got there, you could then just sort of be aware of bouncing. Your hips can go either side, just to know that you've got that nice movement. And then you can just slide your arm along and slide back and slide round into semi-supine. And you can keep going. You can swing your legs side to side like we were just doing. So they will come onto the inner one will come onto the ball of the foot and the outer one onto the heel. And I think a lot of people teach rolling off the semi-supine in a body weight sort of way. You just let the head come to the side and then let your arm come across, and then you let the knees come across and let the body roll, and just see where that takes you. If you just let that body roll take you somewhere, just let it take you into the sort of baby movements where babies just roll around the floor and they just come onto their haunches perhaps, and then they come up again and they roll around, and we're just letting body weight take us. The head is taking us places, the weight of the bum is taking us places. That's it. You're just coming onto all fours and back again, and you can crawl around and come back on your back on your front again, and it's the body weight will just take you there. And then, yeah, just have a good old roll around. It's nice, you get stretches in it. Nothing very precise going on, it's just free and relaxed and you can play with standing in this way and going down again. Just playing with body weight. And when you're ready, just coming back up to standing in whatever way feels useful. And looks all very free and very relaxed and very nice and slightly floppy. And now we're going to bring back the eyes and the spatial awareness. And just being aware when you're ready of just letting the eyes begin to lower down with the head floating up out of the atlanto-occipital, rolling around that center of gravity point, taking you into that slight monkey, which allows one knee to step back. And you have a choice. You don't have to flop straight down. You can actually stop anywhere en route because, or at least in theory, because it's a bit much more controlled. Again, let's just come to the and what happens if we do that movement to either side again, but this time led from the eyes. Does it have a different quality? And then see how you want to get down on the mat. But be aware of when body weight wants to take over, and notice that if body weight takes over, you've probably switched your eyes off. And just if you keep the eyes engaged, what changes? And again, once you've arrived in semi-supine, carry on playing in the same vein. Keep the eyes engaged and see what changes. Notice that if you let the body flop again, you've probably lost the eyes. Letting the movement happen with the eyes engaged. And if you're rolling out again, just let the eyes lead, and then the fingertips lead, and then the knees are leading. And there's a sense of leading rather than just rolling with body weight, and then take that from there into a play and seeing where it takes you. And when you're ready, coming back up to standing. And again, let's come and see what that was like. I made a cup of tea and I never brought it in, excuse me. Oh, anyone like to comment what it was like playing with it with body weight, playing with it with the eyes leading? Alison.
So I love playing with body weight, and I've done that before, and it feels really satisfying to sort of find those roles. But what surprised me was how much I'd switched the eyes off when I really made the conscious effort to keep my eyes switched on, but also how much more control I had over the movement and how much further I could take it. I didn't have to throw myself. It just sort of made itself happen, which was really fun.
Yeah, brilliant. Lovely. Thank you. Anyone else like to comment? Yeah, Micah. Yes, Hannah said that.
When I used the eyes, I realized the movement slowed down dramatically.
Yes.
But at the same time, it got more sustainment. How do you say that?
It is more sustained. Yes.
More sustained, and also, so I felt that the weight was more distributed over the whole body, and less falling into the point where the weight didn't go into one limb, but it was more like suspended in the whole body, more equally distributed, which gave it much more stability. and also freedom in the joints at the same time. Yeah.
Lovely.
Yeah.
Hannes, thank you.
So first, the playing with the weight was very interesting experience. I was reminded on having babies. And so they are doing this movement on the ground, and I many times felt very heavy, drawn on the ground because they are on the ground. And just playing and rolling was just reminding me how mobile I am. So, and the body weight, so it's, if I let the body weight lead, it goes more to everywhere in the body, and I recognized every part it can be mobilized, and also with a spinning movement. And this was very good feeling to be reminded. It's you can live on the ground. Yeah, and so this is what's not happening. And yes, clearly there is a difference with leading with the eyes. It's more controlled and more drawing into the movement.
Mm-hmm.
So with the body weight, it's enjoying oneself on the ground more. And with the eyes, it draws me, and maybe it's more often that I get up on my feet and standing. So like the eyes draw me into the movement. Something like that.
Okay. Lovely. Kazuki.
When my eyes read the movement, I could keep moving and going on and on. And any part of myself was not jammed up. I can always find the way out any direction. The complete freedom. I enjoy so much. Thank you so much.
Movement has no stop point, I think you're saying. It just carries on.
Yeah, just flow.
Thank you. Sarah, would you like to comment, Sarah?
It's just a big difference between being in my own little world and waking up to what's outside. You know, everything changes. The quality, I feel awake, you know, in contact with the world. And the other one feels as if I was inside a womb, which is kind of nice, you know, but it's very different.
Yeah. Lovely. Beautiful. Let's just, do we time for one more thing? It's 22. Okay, should we do one more thing? Or yeah, we'll just finish with a bit of breathing and bouncing. Why not? Yes, and that will take over chapter 6. So let's just go for it gently. So let's just start as you're noticing your breathing, thinking, I can do less with my nose. I can do less with my tongue. I can do less with my face. I don't have to hold the top of the breath. Just catching all the ways in which we hold the breath up into the sides of the cheeks or into the eyes or into the back of the throat, into the floor of the mouth. I'm just thinking, no, I can let those go into the out breath. I don't have to allow them to, sniff up, catch up, just letting those, I can do less with all those. And as that happens, so the out breath can become fuller, in breath can be springy. releasing out into the out breath. And then releasing into the in breath. In your own time, letting the body release into the out breath. Let the body release into the in breath. And to me, breathing is the exception to the word release, which in general Goldie hated. But in breathing, we do want to release into the in breath and release into the out breath. Because it's not a quality of allowing sloppy movement, it's a quality of allowing muscles to come into play, which is the opposite of when we release in that way, where we take muscles out of play. Releasing into the in-breath, releasing into the out-breath. And notice that as you do that, you will tend to go down the body until your lumbar spine is also releasing to the in-breath. And also then releasing into the out-breath. I've been reading Nancy Romita's book, and she comments that the diaphragm, the lower part of the diaphragm, is in fascial connection with the transverse abdominis. So as the diaphragm goes down, this part of the body releases into the in-breath. And you might notice that if you allow that, that releases the pelvic floor, it releases the sit bones into the breathing. Diaphragm goes down, everything else widens. Diaphragm lets go, everything else comes in again. Just noticing that release right down through into the hips and into the legs. And we can even think of it going right down to the feet. Be aware of it rather. It's not just thought. It's happening. That breath wave initiated by the diaphragm is rippling right down into the feet. And then releasing back up again. In your own time. And of course, the danger on the out-breath with release is that we would collapse down. So being aware of that release of the out-breath is up, and that up, it actually comes right up and out through the eyes, and that the spine actually lengthens on the out-breath. Use your hands if you wish. It goes down and wide on the in-breath, and on the out-breath, everything lengthens up. So there need be not one iota of collapse on the out-breath. Down and wide takes us right the way through to the feet, and then up and out on the out breath, coming up right along the front of the spine, right through behind the ears, across the sphenoid, up through the frontal bones above the eyes and out to the world, along our line that we were tracking earlier. Staying with the world as we come down and wide, we receive the world, and then we say hello to the world all over again. And now finding it without the hand movements, when you're ready. Just being aware of that ripple through the body, and the ripple up again, the ripple down on the in-breath, and the ripple up on the out-breath. And let yourself be drawn to a point in the room and let yourself walk towards it. Possibly on the out-breath. Up and out through the eyes. The out-breath allows the knees to bend. Notice how easily you can be drawn towards something up and out on an out breath, released into movement, which again is being released into muscles working. And then let's find that opposite breathing, which is in through the perineum and out down the legs. Just being aware of the breath coming in through the perineum and widening everything that way, and then making fascial connection, not just up on the out breath, but also down on the out breath. In through the perineum, widening the pelvis, and then going both up, but also down on the out breath. So that the out breath doesn't lose tone and it doesn't lose connection. It doesn't lose power. Even as everything narrows, it keeps that connection. And in doing so, it keeps its width. It keeps the width of the hips. In through the perineum and down through the legs. And now take that into movement. Led by the eyes, being aware that the out breath now goes down as well as up. And what's the difference? And when you've got to the end of your point and you turn, you can let that be led by the eyes and the softening of the knee. And my ankle is going off like a rifle shot. And now let's find that up line that we had before, up the heels, up the Achilles, lower calf, middle calf, upper calf, knee, lower thigh, middle thigh, upper thigh, up to the bum cheeks, up to the sacrum, and then carry on up the lumbar spine, up to the thoracic and up to T8. And then it also, of course, carries on up to the top of the neck, the base of the neck, the top of the neck, and the head, coming up to T8. And do the other leg as well. So let's lower the heel, going up the heel, lower calf, middle calf, upper calf, knee, lower thigh, middle thigh, upper thigh, bum cheek, sacrum, lumbar spine, thoracic spine, T8. Oh, and yes, then upper thoracic, bottom of neck, top of neck, and spine. And then let the knees bend. And let's go into a bounce. Keeping the feet under the hips. Keeping seeing. Keeping the breath wave. Keeping that sense that as you breathe in, everything widens, and as you breathe out, the breath goes both down the legs and up and out through the eyes. Don't let the arms flop. Let's go to keep the fingers alive as well. Flopping arms will flop the body. Just notice the difference if you flop the arms. It's much harder. Send the fingers down. That's it. Just notice how much easier it is. Okay. And just let's come back together. Puffing gently. So, how was that? Any other discoveries to finish? Quick skip through part 1 of the book. What questions do you have around that or comments?
I really liked thinking down the fingers, bouncing. I wasn't moving my arms particularly much, but just finding that thinking down the fingers made a difference.
Yeah, yes, it's amazing how flopping arms just throws the elasticity of the system, doesn't it? Yes, I think that's why the Irish dancers have such straight arms. You know, they're doing this bouncing all the time, but the little girls often hold them stiffly, and I teach them to send them down, and they go off and win competitions. It's amazing. Yes. Any other comments? What other? Hannes?
Yeah, so the breathing and activating, I mean, it's kind of directions, it's different directions, but it's just the upflow or the vitality going up and lifting me up. So this is different quality from the other way of thinking. And I love it so much. So, and I thought why I'm doing the course, because I did it. So it's working on this for such a long time. If I work on myself, I never work 1.5 hours. And but it's so good to really get into it and keep it going. Yeah, and so the group and your instructions, they help to go further. And so I have the feeling I come somewhere else. And the result is now, in the end, it's just breathing and yeah, finding it and having this experience, yeah, of being alive and being up. Very nice, very good.
Yes, yes, absolutely. And you can repeat a course that's exactly the same and go up the spiral. But yeah, we'll do a certain amount of the same stuff, but we'll do it in a different way. But you'll come to it. You'll come to it from this different place and discover a whole load of new stuff. I hope you're liking yourself as well.
Yeah.
What other comments?
And so the breathing and the eyes connection. So this is very difficult coordination, because if I do the breathing, it can draw me in and being connected to the world. And so if I got both, it's a very special moment.
Yeah, it's lovely to work with breathing and connecting out.
Yeah.
Yeah, something singers of course have to work with. Micah.
To this breathing and seeing, I find it's absolutely the key of teaching natural breathing, to force the student continuously to look out. Otherwise, they start doing the breathing, and it's just getting over involvement, and they won't find it. But I mean, I've worked on this stuff for a long time now too, and I share what you said, Hannes, and I also feel that somehow by doing it 6 people at the same time, being led, being guided, and I don't have to talk, so I can just like enjoy being following the instructions. I think it's actually bringing it to another level, or deepening the whole experience in a way, because we all do the same thing. I don't know, it's and actually bringing this quality of breathing into the legs and up into jumping, that was really great now in the end, because I felt it's less and less, the feet are doing less and less, they just follow the springiness of the base, kind of the pelvic floor and all that, so they can, they're very, very easy, the feet in the end. They're not floppy at all, but they get more and more aligned. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Yes, Kazuki.
Yeah, this breathing work is so amazing. my legs and my whole body is like a water pipe or a hose. So yeah, that's unbelievable.
Nice.
Yeah, thank you so much.
So that it can flow through. There are no kinks in your pipe. The pipe it can flow. Lovely. Yes. And do you want to comment? Sorry. So
just how nice it is to put everything that was, even though we did a lot of practical things during the course, to just go into, just knowing the theory we have, and now we can just really work with it and put it into practice. It's very nice to have that experience.
And what I'm doing with these little flows, I mean, we've done 3 today, the chapter 3 one, the chapter 4 one, and the chapter 6 one. they're little flows you can use with pupils as well. I mean, you don't have to do the bum shimmy. You can sort of leave bits out of it and how much you work with it, but they're little joined togethers that you can use with pupils, and they're nice to use with groups. So just that thought. So if you think that's useful, does anyone think that could be useful? Yeah.
Yeah, many pieces, I can think of, oh, this for this group or this for this person. And yeah, definitely.
Good. So, and thank you all for joining in my play as well, because it's nothing like, it's no fun developing stuff on your own. It's much more fun to have a group to play with and develop it. So any ideas, feed them back, and it's lovely to hear everybody and to work with it all together. So now, the next one is in 3 weeks, because the way it fell, I was supposed to be on a course next week, but it didn't happen because of COVID. And so we could have started next week, but we didn't. So, and then in 2 weeks' time, of course, it's the Miss Goldie course, for those of you who are on that one. So we'll work in 3 weeks, and see you all then. Have fun. I'll send out the video, and yeah, cheers for now.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Penelope.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
See everybody.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.